to the BookEnds YouTube channel. I'm James McGowan.
I'm Jessica Faust. Have you seen my new scarf, James? Look.
Yeah, I saw you posted that on Instagram today. It's really a nice one.
How awesome is that?
Was it a holiday gift?
It was a holiday gift. I'm super
yourself?
excited. Nope.
Oh,
It
nice.
was not to myself. So,
Yeah, well, now you have to. That's just your official attire for the meeting. I mean, the videos.
that would make it easy. Then I'll be like Steve Jobs. I just wear the same outfit for every video.
Exactly. Well, today we're talking about our December reads. It's January. We are kicking off and starting in on our goals all over again. So we might as well do a roundup of our last month of reading.
And we had a good month. We took a break. We had 2 weeks off of work, and we both got some reading done.
Yeah, because I think we skipped our November video and we went straight to our best books of the year that were books that we're gifting. And yeah, it was nice to dive back into books and actually read something.
I'm not going to lie, I'm panicking because the end of January is coming. I better finish some books.
I know. I was looking at what I read and I was like, I did not finish that one. I did not finish that one. So, all right, well, I'll go first then because I have a book that I was reading, I think like half the country. And it took me the entire month. I was reading A Promised Land by Barack Obama. It was giant.
I'm in the middle of it. No, I'm 3/4 through right now.
Memoirs are not my thing, but I had to read this one. So I just braced myself to be in it for the long haul. And it was like 20 pages here, 20 pages there. And that's how I got through it. But it's entertaining. At times it was boring. I'm not gonna lie. I skipped those parts. Sometimes your eyes just cross when you get into like the nitty gritty of everything. But I don't know.
That man is wordy.
Huh?
That man is wordy.
He's so wordy. But I loved like the first half of it until he got into the White House, and then my eyes crossed a bit, and I was just like, I don't know that I need to read all this because I lived through it. But it was just great to read it from his point of view and sort of get a peek behind the curtain. And I know we've had that a lot, but just his words in a book all together and just like, I don't know, I found it really interesting how he organized the bits that he shared. Like it wasn't chronological, some of the things that he shared.
Right.
I don't know, I found it really interesting the way he connected the aspects of his life and his presidency and just shared it all with us, you know?
Yeah, oh, definitely. I mean, I find myself when I'm reading any book, and this is sort of a hazard of the profession, I think, becoming just as fascinated by things like structure and word choice. And one of the books I'm reading now that we'll discuss next month, I'm going to talk a lot about that. But I'm listening to that book on audio. So I have discovered a passion for political memoirs. I have absolutely no interest in representing them, but I also only like to listen to them on audio.
You suggested to me, I was reading Michelle Obama's book, and I'm not a memoir reader, so I couldn't get through it. I'm just like, I cannot focus and it can't keep my attention. And you said, well, get the audio book, and I listened to it on my commutes back and forth, and I loved it. So I think I want to do that with Obama's book, just to sort of give me that experience again, because you're right. There's something about them relaying it to you in their own voice it changes the entire experience.
Well, their emotion comes through in a way that the written word doesn't. And I can't explain it much, but I do prefer my memoir on audio. So I have become most specifically a political memoir listener, but I guess I did listen to Uneducated last year.
And Trevor Noah,
on audio. Yeah, we did. And I really liked that. And I will admit there are sections of the Obama memoir that I just skipped the whole chapter.
Yeah.
He does sort of section it out. So, one section was specifically talks with Russia. And I listened to the first chunk of it, and then let's go on to the next chapter. Right. But I think, at this point where a new president is taking office, it's been really interesting for me to listen to it to get sort of behind the scenes perspective on what must be going on in those first weeks.
Yeah, and that's why I said, like, I really loved the first half of it. I loved sort of, and I think I was a lot younger in that first half. So when I was listening to it, I was like, I didn't know any of this.
Yeah.
But it was nice I love the campaign. I love all like the election day buzz and all of that. So it was really cool to see that from his point of view.
I read The Chicken Sisters. Yeah, so I wanted something fun. I needed something light. I was at the bookstore and I saw this and I thought, well, this looks fun and light. It was a book club pick. I'll be honest. I think that I've gotten really good about just grabbing a book. I
Yeah.
spend less time, our entire job is spending time evaluating whether we want to read something and work on something.
Right.
It's all about evaluating sort of where we want to go with something when it comes to reading. So in my non-work reading, I have taken to not evaluating so hard and just grabbing books. And if I finish them, I finish them. If I don't, I don't. So this book is The Chicken Sisters by KJ Delantonia. Viewers have asked us to make sure we speak the name and title, so I'm trying to do that. It's set in Kansas, and it centers around two competing fried chicken restaurants. And the restaurants were established by, I guess, 2 generations ago. And what happened is it's sort of a Romeo and Juliet. One of the sisters from one of the restaurants married the son of the other restaurant, and now the sisters are divided, and the restaurants start competing on a reality TV show similar to something, I guess, like Restaurant Impossible on Food Network, where the TV is going to come in and they are competing about who has the best fried chicken, and there's a big cash prize. And the truth is both of these restaurants are struggling in their own ways. The sisters haven't really spoken in years, so it's a sort of family drama. It's about chicken, so there are some very funny moments. I really enjoyed it. It was a quick, easy read, a lot of fun. So that was The Chicken Sisters.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, it was fun.
I'm gonna do these two together because I read them together basically, but they also kind of okay. So it's Eight Perfect Murders by Peter Swanson and The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman, and they were both just like quick and fun, but for different reasons.
I need
So
that.
Eight Perfect Murders it's about a bookstore owner who created a list about the 8 perfect murders in his opinion in literature. And then a serial killer is enacting those murders. So the FBI gets involved and they think he's a suspect and then they try and loop him in to sort of help with the investigation. It read like a book themed cozy thriller to me. Like it was just fun and comfortable and quick. And then The Thursday Murder Club is about a group of senior citizens in a retirement village who host a Thursday Murder Club, and they review like all of these old cases, but they finally get their first real life case when a man who one of the owners of the village ends up dead, or I think I misrepresented that a little bit, but it's super funny. Like I was cracking up throughout the whole way. And it was just fast paced, but they both felt like really comfort mystery reads, and they're not exactly cozy mysteries, but they gave me that feel.
Yeah. Well, they both have great hooks. And I think for any writer who's watching this who is wondering sort of how to identify a hook, I think your initial description of each of those books is like, boom, spot on. That's what the hook is. That's enough. I mean, your description of the Peter Swanson book about the bookstore owner who creates the list and then the serial killer who's reenacting it is, that's not a new trope.
No.
There's always been the trope of the killer reenacting the author's books. This is a different sort of spin on that.
Right.
But I'm instantly like, ooh, that sounds fun. I definitely want to read that.
It was. And it was one of those books like I wanted something that I could just read, and not like think too much about, and not like just a classic whodunit. And that's what that was. And then that sort of set me into that holiday reading sprint when I got a whole bunch of books read. But they were both really fun. Like I would recommend them. I would pick up the authors next for sure.
Gotcha.
But Richard Osman's book was hilarious. Like I was cracking up the entire way through because this cast of characters is so dynamic, and old people just don't care what they say, and they were just the one-liners in the book and the shouting outs and the like responding to the younger characters, and they just don't get it completely. It was so funny.
I can't wait till I'm an old character. My
Well,
goal
I
is to
feel
be an
like I'm an
old
old character now.
character. You are, well, you're an old soul character.
Yeah.
That is for certain. Um, so I read, as I do almost every January, but I finished this early, Badass Habits. It's
Oh,
Jen Sincero's new book. I like her books. I mean, I'll be honest, at this point, they're not that different. If you read You're a Badass, you've more or less read all of her books. That was one of those, you sometimes pick up that prescriptive nonfiction that really resonates with you.
right.
And I even say this to clients all the time, and writers in general, is that you can be getting the same piece of advice a lot, but suddenly there's a time and a way it's said that what is said resonates with you
Yeah.
and sort of changes everything. And her first book, You're a Badass, just hit me at the right time in the right way, and it made a big difference. And I think I just feel obliged to her now, and I will buy all of her books. But if you've never read her, I think this is a good start, or You're a Badass, but quick, easy, you know. So this one's Badass Habits by Jen Sincero.
My last and favorite read of the month is We Keep the Dead Close by Becky Cooper. It's a true crime set in, well, it's not set, it really happened, but it's a girl in Harvard is in the anthropology department is murdered. And there's so much evidence that pointed to the professor, and there's sort of this lore in Harvard that it was the professor, but anybody who knows a little bit about Harvard knows how sort of elusive it is, and she sort of uncovers because much of it was buried and it was never solved. And Becky Cooper goes back to Harvard where she was a student, and she immerses herself back into the class, and she shadows the professor, and she just sort of uncovers the mystery. It was so good. So
That's
good.
really interesting, because a lot of true crime, they'll say the case has to be solved, but I guess it was the way she investigated it.
Yeah, I don't want to give anything away. It's definitely, if you like true crime or murder mystery, and it read like fiction, honestly.
Right, sure.
So even if you're not a true crime reader, it's so worth opening up and just sort of giving it a shot, because it reads so quick paced and like fiction. I mean, I started it on Christmas, and before I knew it, I was like 150 pages in.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's so good. So I definitely recommend that one.
That's good. Okay, well, I read two. I think they're very different, actually. My last two. The first one was The Care and Feeding of Ravenously Hungry Girls by Anissa Gray, which this cover is amazing.
Yeah.
And this has weirdly been sitting on my shelf for a long time, as a TBR pile will grow around something. That's what happened here. And I really liked this book. It's the whole sort of launching point of the story is that this husband and wife are in jail. They're already in jail for more or less creating illegal charities and taking the money for themselves. And so the restaurant owners, apparently restaurant owners were my thing. They're restaurant owners, and yet I have not used a cooking reference yet.
That's true. We're rusty.
It'll come. So they've left behind 15-year-old twin daughters. And so the wife's two sisters are now sort of in charge of taking care of the daughters. And it's alternating viewpoints from the mom in jail and the two daughters, and then the sisters who are the aunts. And it's really sort of a family story about the older generation and their sister relationship and their growing up and the problems and sort of coming to terms with their issues, and these twins and how different they are, and how to reach them and how to connect with them and how to raise them, and also then their experiences of having their parents arrested and now being pariahs in this town they grew up in. And it was really just a great story. It's it was really well written. It's a great story. It's definitely I would consider this more commercial women's fiction than I would upmarket fiction for somebody interested in the distinction. It's got a great hook. It's very gripping. The writing is great, but it definitely had a commercial feel to me.
Yeah.
But I recommend this. I thought this was great.
Yeah, that sounds good.
And my last one was The Secret Lives of Church Ladies by
You've been talking about this one a lot.
Phil Yaw, and I apologize. I am sure I absolutely butchered her last name, so I apologize for that. This is a National Book Award finalist, and to be honest, it was one of those books that I saw everywhere. And the cover is fantastic. The title is great. I knew nothing about this book other than that it was an award finalist. It was everywhere, and I had to read a book with that title. And it's a collection of stories, but they all have this connection about, sort of what it means to be a church lady or to be a bad church lady, I guess. It's the secret lives of church ladies. So it is what it is. Her writing is phenomenal. The stories were absolutely riveting. It's a short, quick read.
Yeah.
I think I read it in a day, maybe two, because I started it late. I don't know, but I really, really recommend this book. And it was published by West Virginia University Press. It was published by a small press, not one of the big five, but recommend Secret Lives of Church Ladies. Oh, there's my bookmark.
Yeah, well, we got through a lot last month, so
we did.
Here's hoping we can have at least one book each for January.
I can do it. I'm reading like 2 or 3 right now, but one of them's the Obama book, so we already discussed that, so I won't bring that up next month.
Yeah, we won't have another 15-minute discussion on it next month.
No, viewers would not be happy.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. Let us know what you read in December, what we should maybe read in February, and we hope you find your next great read here. We're looking forward to seeing you next time.
Always looking for suggestions.
Yeah.